Hi, welcome to my channel Cloud with Girish. In this video, I'm going to show you how to create EC2 instances using Event Bridge and Lambda function on scheduled time. With Cloud, initiating EC2 instances to host and run your application is super easy. You need these instances for your development, testing, production, failover, disaster recovery, proof of concept, and many other reasons, unless you are 100% dedicated to serverless architecture and development. Over the period, company may spin on hundreds of EC2 instances and the cost will add up. With each comes the shared responsibility model of AWS Cloud. Customer is responsible to pay for the cloud resources being consumed. FinOps, as you hear, is becoming very popular. One of the best practices is to understanding usage and cost of your cloud resources. Let's discuss this in the context of hundreds of EC2 instances that you may have. You have to analyze if you really need all EC2 instances 24/7. Likely scenario is that your analysis will lead to data point that you need specific instances for a specific duration or within certain days and time period. Let's look at our use case. Our use case is to create the EC2 instance with a tag of gbdev at 6 p.m. Eastern every Friday. Another use case is terminate the EC2 instance with the same tag of gbdev at 6 a.m. every Monday. In this workshop, I will show you how to create EC2 instances with a tag of gbdev. I will use AWS Event Bridge, AWS Lambda, and Python Boto3 library to accomplish this function. In the next workshop, I will show you similar function for terminating the EC2 instances. If you want to learn about starting and stopping the EC2 instances using Event Bridge rather than creating and terminating, please watch my video on this workshop. Link is in the description for this. Let's look at the architecture design. There are two architecture design here. The first one is showing creating the EC2 instance using AWS Event Bridge and Lambda. And the second one is the same pattern. Rather than creating the instance, we are terminating the EC2 instance by tag. Prereq for this workshop is that you are familiar to develop and deploy Lambda function locally using AWS SAM. I will be using AWS SAM for Lambda function. However, same can be accomplished using AWS console. If you want to learn about creating and testing Lambda function using SAM, please watch my video on Lambda workshop. Link is in the description for this as well. For Event Bridge, I will use AWS console to set up the schedule that invoke the Lambda function using a cron job pattern. Let's get started. We're going to review the EC2 instance with the tag. We'll review our SAM template. We'll review the Lambda function. We'll build the function locally using AWS SAM. Function will be invoked locally using AWS SAM. We'll deploy the function in AWS Cloud, and then an Event Bridge scheduler cron job will be created. It will be assigned the Lambda function that we have deployed. Once the scheduler invoke the Lambda, the EC2 instance status we will review before and after, and of course we'll review the CloudWatch log. So let's look at the EC2 instance. This is the kind of EC2 instance that we're going to create. The tag here is gbdev. Creating a T2 micro instance in the availability zone of US East 2B. Let's look at the SAM template, a pretty standard template. If you look at it, it's assigning a function, create EC2 with tag. It's a Lambda handler. There is a runtime of Python 3.11. There is a timeout of 15 seconds, the environment variable. There are policies assigned to ensure that this Lambda function has appropriate permission to create and start and stop the EC2 instance. Let's look at our Lambda function. In this Lambda function, we are creating the instance by using the Boto 3 library. Again, if you look at it, there is an image ID that we are using for the EC2 micro instance. There is a placement assigned here, and then once the function is invoked by the event bridge, it will log the info in the CloudWatch with the message that instance has been created. We'll build the function locally using AWS SAM, using the SAM build command. That's the screenshot of the command that I'm sharing. The second command here is invoking the function locally using AWS SAM. So I'm invoking that function. And finally, once I have the desired output, which is basically creating the EC2 instance, I'm ready to deploy this function using SAM deploy command. Once function is deployed in my AWS cloud, I'm going to create an Event Bridge scheduler, search for Event Bridge service, select the scheduler, and create a schedule. My schedule I'm naming here as create EC2 GBDAV. My cron job expression I'm defining for the time that I want this scheduler to invoke the function. In the next screen, I have many options, but I'm going to select the Lambda function because I want to assign a Lambda function for the invocation. My function here is create EC2 with tag. This is the function that I just deployed using AWS SAM. Once this assignment is completed, we will wait for a scheduler to invoke the Lambda function. Once Lambda function is invoked, you will see that an instance has been created. Status will change from initializing and then to running. If you look at the CloudWatch log for this Lambda function, you will see the messages that we have coded for in the Lambda function. So it's saying instance has been created. It's going to give us the instance ID, and that's basically document that EC2 instance was created. With this workshop, an Event Bridge scheduler invoking a Lambda function to create EC2 instance have been successfully completed. Creating these instances using infrastructure as code approach give you control over when to create these instances per business use case and control the cloud cost. Hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I'm working on some other interesting content on various AWS topics. These will be posted soon. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.